Picture this. You're standing in a sea of thousands, hearts heavy with grief, when suddenly the air crackles with calls for revival, not just mourning, but a fire reigniting the soul of a nation. What if one man's tragic death could stitch together the fractures in American politics and awaken a movement that changes everything? That's the story unfolding right now, and it starts with Charlie Kirk. Hey everyone, welcome back, where we dive into the real stories shaping our America, the triumphs, the heartbreaks, and the what-ifs that keep us up at night. And today, we're unpacking something that's got conservatives buzzing and the rest of us pausing: the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and how his memorial turned into a thunderous rally for faith, family, and the future. If you're feeling the weight of these divided times, stick around. This one's got history, heart, and a whole lot of relevance to your daily grind. Let's jump in. First off, who was Charlie Kirk? If you're not deep in the conservative world, you might know him as that firebrand activist who founded Turning Point USA back in 2012. He was just 18 when he started it, a kid from the Chicago suburbs with a megaphone and a mission. Picture a high schooler who's already tired of what he saw as liberal bias on campus. Kirk built TPUSA into this powerhouse, mobilizing young conservatives, hosting summits that drew crowds bigger than some rock concerts, and yeah, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Trump. He wasn't just talking politics. He was preaching a vision of America rooted in Judeo-Christian values, strong families, free speech, and unapologetic patriotism. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. Kirk's on stage at a college event in Utah doing what he did best, firing up students, debating ideas, challenging the status quo. Then out of nowhere, gunfire. He's gone just like that. At 31 years old, the nation froze. Who does this? Why? Investigations are ongoing, but the shock rippled from coast to coast. For everyday folks like you and me, maybe a teacher in Ohio or a dad in Texas, it hit like a gut punch. Another voice silenced in a country that's already screaming past each other. But here's where the story twists. Kirk's death didn't just end a chapter. It cracked open a door to something bigger. Now, let's set the scene at that memorial service on Sunday in Glendale, Arizona, State Farm Stadium, packed with 60,000 souls who showed up at dawn, some camping out overnight like it's the Super Bowl. This wasn't your standard eulogy. It felt more like a tent revival from the old days, the kind your grandparents might have whispered about from the Dust Bowl era. Speakers poured in, VP JD Vance calling Kirk a hero and martyr for the Christian faith. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth thundering that Kirk unleashed a spiritual revival. Even Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Chief of Staff Susie Wiles were there, crediting TPUSA for flipping elections and pulling young voters into the red column. And then the emotional core. Erika Kirk, Charlie's widow, takes the stage. She's 29, grieving, holding it together for their 2 little kids. In a moment that stopped hearts, she says she forgives the gunman straight up because that's what Christ would do. The answer to hate is not hate, she says, her voice cracking but steady. The crowd erupts in hugs and tears. It's raw, it's real, reminds you of those stories from the civil rights marches, where forgiveness became a weapon stronger than any fist. But unity, that's where President Trump steps in to close the show. His speech, nearly 45 minutes of Trump being Trump, part tribute, part stump speech. He honors Kirk as a missionary who didn't hate his opponents, who wanted the best for them. Then classic pivot. That's where I disagree with Charlie. I hate my opponents and I don't want the best for them. Oof. He apologizes to Erika right there, but it's Trump, blunt, unfiltered, tossing in teases about autism policies, tariffs on China, even federal agents hitting Chicago streets to tackle crime. As he riffs, folks start trickling out, long day, early wake-ups, but the energy, electric. It's like the GOP, which has been splintering since the election sweep last year. Fights over spending, immigration, you name it, found a glue in this grief. To get why this matters, let's rewind a bit. Think back to the 1980s. Ronald Reagan rides a wave of religious conservatism, teaming with folks like Jerry Falwell to make family values the heartbeat of the Republican Party. It wasn't just talk. It shaped laws on abortion, school prayer, even the culture wars we're still fighting. Kirk, he was the millennial remix. TPUSA didn't just bus kids to rallies. They trained them to argue faith in the public square, to see conservatism as a calling, not a club. His death. It's echoing that era, but in our hyperpolarized 2025. With Trump back in the White House, pushing agendas on borders and economy, this revival talk feels like rocket fuel. Republicans are saying Kirk's legacy will lock in their dominance. More youth turnout, tighter party lines, a push for policies blending church and state without apology. But here's the part that hits home for ordinary Americans. You know, the ones clocking 9 to 5s, scraping by on groceries that cost an arm and a leg, wondering if their kid's future looks like their parents' American dream or something dimmer. This isn't just elite politics, it's about the fabric of our communities. On one hand, the revival vibe could mean real wins. Stronger emphasis on family leave, school choice that lets parents pick faith-based options. Even economic policies aimed at making bobbies affordable again in a world where housing's a pipe dream. Remember that NBC story this week about folks ditching apartments for RVs? 486,000 Americans now, from vets like Kat Tucker shelling out for repairs on wheels instead of walls. If conservatism doubles down on marriage and kids like they chanted, it might spark policies easing that crunch, tax breaks for families, zoning reforms to build more homes. On the flip side, and I say this neutrally because we've all got skin in this game, it could deepen divides. Trump's win-at-all-costs rhetoric. It fires up the base but leaves moderates, independents, even some Republicans feeling sidelined. What about the bridge builders, the ones like Erika preaching forgiveness? In a country where school board meetings turn into shouting matches, does this revival unite us or just amp up the volume? And think about your neighborhood. If faith becomes the GOP's North Star, how does that play out in diverse spots like Jersey, where gubernatorial debates are already hashing out Trump-era taxes and education? It could mean more support for traditional values, sure, but also pushback from folks who see it as exclusionary. Historically, these moments pivot nations. Lincoln's assassination galvanized the Union. MLK's death fueled the Poor People's Campaign. Kirk's, too soon to call, but with Trump on a Supreme Court hot streak, 28 emergency appeals, only 2 losses, it's stacking the deck for conservative wins on everything from religious freedoms to family rights. The White House is playing chess, picking battles they'll win, and this memorial, it's their morale boost. Folks, Charlie Kirk's story isn't just tragedy, it's a mirror for where we're headed. A young man's passion cut short, a widow's grace, a president's fire. It reminds us that beneath the headlines, politics is people, your people, my people, fighting for a better tomorrow. What's your take? Did this memorial feel like a turning point or just more noise? Drop a comment below. I read everyone. If this sparked something in you, hit that like button to spread the conversation. And if you want more deep dives into the stories making America tick, subscribe and ring the bell. We're in this together. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay kind. See you next time.